Hello, everybody. The professor's back, Mr. Teaserking. I was going to do pros, and there's too many. There's too much to look at with injuries. I'll give you tonight's game, but with the injuries and everything, I thought it was better to do college now and then do pros tomorrow. What's today? Thursday? Yeah. So first, let me give you tonight's game. LA Seattle in the pros. LA, I got minus 2.5 over under. I see down to 53.5 from 54.5. The trend in this game is a little bit Seattle. Now, see, here's the problem. Seattle is not a home dog often. They're 4-0 in the last 5 years. They're very rarely a home dog. They're a great road dog. They're a terrible home favorite at home, but they do play close games, and probably their spreads are high because it's Seattle at home, and then they're laying too much, and then they'll win, but they don't cover. The Rams are a weak road favorite. We can get into that. Let's do that. So the Rams, okay, now you got Stafford trends versus golf trends. So again, it's not that easy. The Seattle trends are a little bit better because it's Russell Wilson and Coach Pete are still there. Let's see. Oh my God, I don't know if it's the internet or what. It's just okay. There it came. Okay, so if we look at the teams, we got the Rams scored 29, give up 25. Their defense has not been like a under 20 defense like you would think. They throw for 300 yards, they run for 100. So there's a big discrepancy there. If you can put pressure on Stafford, they can't really run. And I don't know if Henderson, I think their running back is playing or he's questionable tonight. Seattle scores 26. They give up 25. So both defenses are weak. We know Seattle's is weak. Seattle's offense is a little bit less, where they throw for 260, not 300, but they run for 110. So they're a little bit behind, but they're a little bit more balanced. Again, I love Russell Wilson. I have them both as over teams. Seattle, you score 26. If you don't have a great defense, then they're basically an even team. But I look at them as an over because their defense will give up points. The Rams should score. Their defense will give up points. So they're both kind of even teams. By that, I mean they're pretty even in their points allowed in four. When I look at the quarterbacks, so let's see how the great Matthew Stafford is doing, not on the Lions. So in 4 games, 68%, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 9.1 yards on average, and it's all Cooper Kupp. So if you just take Cooper Kupp away, you won't know what to do. Seattle, Russell Wilson, 73%, 260 a game, 9.6. So he throws for more yards per attempt than Stafford, 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So their problem hasn't been him turning the ball over. I don't know about the fumbles, but that's not their issue. So he's 9-0. So he's good. And if we go back to so if I go into the number, let me go 19, 20, and 21, just to get a flavor of it. All right, so the Rams 8-3. So this is 19, 20, and 2 or 3 games of 21. 19-3. 8-3 is a road favorite. 7-4 against, nothing exciting. 26-12 against. The number is not even 70%. Seattle again. There's not a home dog, so we go to 8-1 as a road dog. 29-10, 74% overall. The head-to-head was pretty even. Let me see if I can get into that. So the head-to-head matchup is so the Rams won 30-20 last year. Seattle won in Seattle. The Rams win in LA. The Rams win in LA. Seattle wins in Seattle. The Rams win in LA. So it seems like the home team is 5 out of the last 6. The home team Seattle was getting 3.5, lost 30-20 last year. That was in January. Was that a playoff game? January 9th? Probably a playoff game. Yeah, I think it was. That's when Goff was injured and he played, and they beat him anyway. So this is a home team trend, which is fine. That's what we're looking at. So the way I look at this game, you could go 2 ways. You could take the dog, Seattle, an 8.5, probably good, or the over/under. I kind of like the over 53.5. It's good offenses. Defenses are bad. Okay, I'm having internet issues, but I think I'm back. So apologize if there's anything going on. So 2 weak defenses, 2 great quarterbacks. So normally when you got great quarterbacks playing, well, I don't know if Stafford's a great quarterback. Russell Wilson is. You tend to get more scoring. A good quarterback, as we see Tom Brady and Russell Wilson, they can score off of anybody. Mahomes, it don't matter who you have on defense, they'll find a way to beat you. So what I'm looking at here is, okay, guess the score. Both teams in the 20s, 28-24 is 52. So this is 53.5, and a teaser 47.5. So I like go over in this game. 47.5, I think, is the proper way to go. You just 28-24 is not a lot of points for Stafford and Wilson against very weak defenses. So that's your play for tonight. In college, my buddy asked me about Coastal Carolina, and he says, "Is that a good play?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, because McCall, quarterback, and this guy's great on Coastal Carolina, was questionable with the leg, but I looked at the injuries now, and it says he's probable with the leg, so who knows? It's probably a bruise or something. But, yeah, they're laying 20, so I said go ahead and take Coastal Carolina. Arkansas State can score, but Arkansas State's defense is terrible. So I look for Coastal Carolina to really light them up. So you had big games last week. So first there was Cincinnati, Notre Dame. Cincinnati gets a very emotional win. And how are they going to play this week? This week they're 29-point favorites over Temple. Temple's not a good team. Temple's an over team. And Cincinnati's an A. So Cincinnati's got a great offense, quarterback, good coach, and a strong defense, as Notre Dame found out last week. Boy, I wish Notre Dame was favored. I don't understand why they weren't. That's really something for Cincinnati to be favored there, and then they get the big win. And they missed 2 field goals that should have been much worse. And I think they had a touchdown call back on a terrible penalty call. So they're laying 29. Temple changes quarterbacks, is the new quarterback. How is he? Is he strong or not? And now they have film on the new quarterback. So let's say he's a running quarterback. Now they can see that and play for it. See, the first game, the new quarterback comes in, nobody's got tape on him. Now you got tape on him. This is the second game. This is where is the quarterback okay? Because when it's blind, they don't know how to defend you. Let's say you're a great runner, but then now that, like Lamar Jackson, first game you don't know how to defend him. Then you see how he plays, and you go, "Oh, okay, we'll just put more fast guys out there." And so now you can defend them easier. So I don't know the Temple. I think Cincinnati, it's a lot of points, 29. Temple's not that bad. They're in conference. It's a pretty big number. And again, I don't think they'll be flat because I listened to the coach. I can see the coach. Whatever, the Cincinnati coach, Luke Fickell. I knew it was in there somewhere. He's saying, "Oh, we're a Power 5 team. We can make the playoffs because we beat Notre Dame. We got to win out." So their motivation is not, "We got a big win now. We're going to relax this week. We'll be flat." I look for them. They should pound Temple. 29 is a big number. I can't play it a lot. I'm not playing the game, but it's just good to see it. I think, there'll be other games with better spreads. But right now, I think that spread's high. Temple's not that bad. And since he's going to be a little flat after beating Notre Dame, although they are at home and they are chasing a playoff game. So I'll look for that. Let's go. A good game, Wyoming and Air Force. These are very even teams. Air Force, very strong. I have them as an A. Wyoming, I have like a B plus. They don't score enough to be an A. Like I need they score 30 and give up 14. That's to me an A. Wyoming doesn't score that much, and they have a good defense. It's a good game there. Air Force is laying 6 over under 47. Air Force is a very strong team, very tough. They run that option, but they can pass. So they run the same as Army Navy, but they pass it better. So they'll pass it 10, 15 times a game, and good receivers, good routes. So it's not like they don't know what to do. They've never ran a route before like Army or Navy might, although Army's getting better at that. So that's a real good game. Probably an even game, probably take the dog, but I do like Air Force a little bit better at home. I think they win a close one. But again, the spread's 6, so you can go even. Interesting game, Boise, BYU laying 5. In this game, BYU's quarterback Rommel is out, I believe, or he's doubtful. So the backup will be playing. Boise looks healthy. This is a type of role Boise usually plays well. They're a dog. They're getting 5. You get 11 over under a 56. Getting 11 with Boise is usually a pretty good bet. I took them week 1 against UCF, and they had the game won, and they lost it at the end, but they lost by 3 or 4 points. So I won with the teaser. So I do like I like Boise as the dog in this. I don't know. BYU's been awful good beating Arizona State and Utah. Utah's got quarterback problems. They don't look strong with the quarterback. Arizona State looked strong last week against UCLA. So I don't know what to say about that. So BYU, very good team. Boise's always good. I don't think this is their best team. Not like when Kellen Moore was there, but I think it'll be a tight game, and Boise getting 11, got the athletes. I think they make it closer or can win it. Oregon State, Washington State. So now I've got my new bitch, Oregon State. My bitch is who I'm going to play for. Although sometimes my bitch is who I bet against, but in this case. Maybe it's the wrong word. Maybe it's my new man. But Oregon State, they're laying 3.5 to Washington State. Over under is 59. Oregon State's an A team. They score a lot. They got a good defense. They fooled me, but to a good point. I thought they were just a passing team because they lit up USC, and they just blew them out basically. So I go, wow, they got a good quarterback. They can really throw the ball. Last week they're playing Washington, and I'm looking, the quarterback's like 8 of 12 for 80 yards. I'm like, it's the third quarter. I'm like, what's going on? And they got a pretty damn good running team too. They were running the ball over Washington. There was no reason not to. the end of the game, Washington gets they score a touchdown to tie it up, and the quarterback fumbles, and 2 plays later they score again. So I'm looking 17-10 Oregon State. All of a sudden I refresh, it's 24-17 Washington. I'm like, what the hell happened? But Oregon State goes right down and scores, ties it up 24-all. I was getting 2 or 3 points. And then Oregon State at the last second kicks a field goal to win from the 5-yard line or something. So they were smart. So they beat Washington. So now they beat USC and Washington. Now they got Washington State. I think this number should be higher. But, they're really not caught on to Oregon State yet. They look like a real team, great offense. Defense is good. Washington State doesn't look very good. I watched them in a few games. They're okay. They're nothing special. Actually, I got them as an under team. They don't score that much. Their defense is fairly good. Oregon State, putting 27 up on Washington. I'm not worried about them getting in the 30s on Washington State. Washington State doesn't have an offense that's very good. So I like Oregon State getting 2.5 in this game. As long as they're getting points, I think the line should be 7 at least. Oregon State. They're not getting here's where I excel. Here's what we look for, right? We found our new team, Oregon State. And that's what you're looking to do, is find new teams. Every year there's a new team. It's either the transfer portal or the recruiting or just whatever. And that's what you have. So you have it every year. And that's what I look for. That's what I'm fishing for the first 4 or 5 games. So in other words, you've got to get off the one team from last year. Right? Let's say it was Clemson. You're all over them. And now you can't play Clemson when their quarterback's terrible. Good defense, so you can play them under. But you got to get off of them, right? And then you got to look for the new Clemson or the new Ohio State or the new next big thing. And I think I found 2 teams. This Oregon State is one and Baylor is the other. Oregon State, I'm very comfortable, even though they're a small road favorite, playing them as a road favorite. And then Baylor, because they have such a good offense, but they're balanced, like 300 yards passing and running, and good luck stopping that. So I just think that Oregon State is right now, the bookies haven't created the line. They're looking at they haven't caught on. They killed SC. Now they beat Washington. Now they're for real. Now they've got everything in sync. That's the problem. They look at the odds, right? And they look at the scoring and they go, oh, they lost at Purdue, I think, I think they lost at Purdue 27-20 or something. So that's in the mix, but they're not that team. They went and played Purdue now, they'd kill them. So maybe there's a quarterback change. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe just an injury, or maybe it wasn't. But something changed there, and now they're really going. And that's the maturity of the team. They tend to get better. Like Alabama, their quarterback's much better now than he was week 1. So I definitely like Oregon State at the 2.5. Georgia, Auburn. Georgia minus 14.5. Over under, I saw it 40, went up to 47.5. I saw it today. Maybe it was 47. But I got it in at 46.5. Now I'm seeing it up to 47. I really like this game under. Georgia laying 14. I don't know how strong their offense is, but what I do know is Georgia's defense has given up like 20 points the whole year. You don't score on them. Auburn, I just watched the Auburn LSU highlights, and Auburn got a few lucky plays where they had Bo Nix sacked twice. He spins out of it, and like half, it's like, and then he finds a guy for a touchdown, and you're like, should have been sacked 3 times. So you just sit there and you go, okay, Georgia's not going to miss you because their linebackers are really fast. So, and even the LSU game, and LSU doesn't have nearly the defensive of Georgia. And it was 24-19 or something like that. So it was only a mid-40s against LSU, whose defense looks better. But Georgia's defense is just unreal. So you play to the point of the best point of the game, which is taking Georgia's defense. I don't want to lay 8.5 against Auburn. They played Penn State 28-20. I don't know how much they're going to. Auburn's got their defense is under 20 also. Granted, 2 of their games were against nobodies, but then they gave up 28 to Penn State and they gave up 19 to LSU. Man, I'll tell you that LSU wide receiver number 1, he makes Jamar Chase look like a high school player. So I don't know how LSU does it, but when their receivers are much better than Alabama's receivers, right? Because it's not a system. The guy does a route and they get him the ball. But my God, this guy, I forget his name. Yeah, and he's just unbelievable. He's I want to say Bedoya, number 1 on LSU. If this guy's not the first receiver taken in the draft, then these GMs are dumber than I thought. But again, it's hard to take a receiver first. Like you can see, Devontae Smith from Alabama, the Heisman Trophy winner, goes to Philadelphia. Good luck, buddy. You're with Jalen Hurts. You don't have a chance. If he was with Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, he'd be in much better shape. So that's why it's hard to take him real early in the draft, because unless you have a quarterback, doesn't benefit you. But I think Devontae Smith will be – I think he's good. But this guy on LSU, he's so much better. So that's Georgia. Go under. I think anything you see around 50, just go under. That game's not going to be close to it. Arkansas's got just as good an offense as Auburn and just as good a defense, and it was 37-0, and I think there was a block punt. So Georgia didn't really score 37 offensively. They got a block punt. I'm assuming – I haven't seen the highlights of that yet. I'm assuming they got a pick 6 or some turnovers or a strip sack, something where they had a couple of short fields to get to 21-0 in the first quarter like that. But again, just you go under with them, and that's all you can do. I was talking Baylor, West Virginia. Well, let's call LSU Kentucky. Kentucky's laying 3. See, here's where I don't know about LSU. I don't like their quarterback. I love their receiver. But again, Auburn came on at the end, and then when they had the chance to drive back to win, the quarterback didn't do anything for LSU. So I'm fearing if Kentucky has them like they had Florida 20-10, that the quarterback won't do it. Now, but I do think Kentucky will be flat. So when you play big games, the winner kind of relaxes, the loser gets pissed off. So Kentucky beats Florida. So Kentucky they're like Cincinnati. They have more apt to be flat because of the big win against Florida. And then here's LSU playing Auburn, a big game, but they lost. So they're pissed. They can't afford another conference loss. So I think LSU plays tough. You might get an under on it because I think Kentucky's defense reminds me of Georgia's defense. When Kentucky and Georgia are playing, if the over-under is more than 30, I'm going under. But I just see, LSU and 9 or under, maybe under 50, go under 56. That game will get nowhere near that. I mean, if LSU plays Auburn to a 24-19 game, what do you think they're going to do here against Kentucky? Kentucky's defense is much better than Auburn's, and Auburn's is an 18. I mean, it's just you saw what they did to Florida. They just crushed them. Hey, Jim, not sure if you mentioned it, but who do you like in the Penn State-Iowa game? No, I haven't gotten there yet, Jim. I'll get there. I'm just kind of going down the schedule. So I did give out I like the over in the Seattle Ram game tonight. You can take Coach Pete as the home dog. They're very rarely a home dog, but they're a great road dog. So as a dog, they get pissed. It's like Tom Brady. Anytime he's a dog, you bet on him. Here, Russell Wilson and Coach Pete at home as dogs. The Rams, look what Phoenix did to them last week. I mean, their defense isn't, it's all Arnold, but that's it. It's Arnold and the cornerback. But I mean, when you got 3 receivers like Seattle has, the cornerback can't cover them all. and Russell Wilson can get around from Arnold, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I took over 47.5 tonight, but you could probably home dog Seattle also. So LSU Kentucky, yeah, I probably like that game under. LSU's defense is starting to get better. It's not like the LSU when they played UCLA. Kentucky, they held Florida to 10. Now, granted, they blocked a field goal, so really that scores 13-10, right? If they don't block the field goal and Florida kicks it, it ends up being a 13-10 game. So it's very low scoring. That's what I would expect. West Virginia, Baylor, again, game's pretty even, but I love Baylor's good quarterback and very balanced attack. West Virginia is okay, but not on the road. Baylor only laying 3, I think, is a low number. So I like Baylor in this one. West Virginia's got a good defense, but I don't care. You can't really a good offense with a good quarterback. You're not really gonna. What are you gonna do? Keep the 10 points. So I like Baylor there. Here's a good dog that I like. Florida Atlantic's playing UAB. UAB has no offense. I mean, their quarterback's terrible. They got blown out last week by somebody. Who did they get blown out by last week? UAB. Liberty. So Liberty blows out UAB 36-12. So all of a sudden they make UAB for some reason. UAB is now a favorite over Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic's a very good team. I got Florida Atlantic laying 7 in the game. They make UAB -4. It was 6, went down to 4. You got the wrong team favored in this one. Florida Atlantic's got the quarterback who was at Miami last year, Perry. So he started, lost to King, transfers over here. This is another one of those transfer quarterbacks who go down in class from a Miami to a Florida Atlantic, and they just they blew out Florida International. They put up like 50 on them. Not that that matters because they're not playing Florida International, but they're a very strong dog in this situation. The better team getting points and UAB doesn't score a lot anyway, but Florida Atlantic scores a lot, and they got a good defense. So this game to me at worst is even, and I can get 10 points in Florida Atlantic. I definitely like Florida Atlantic in this game. All right, so Michigan played Wisconsin last week, so let's go through that. Very emotional win for Michigan. Wisconsin, I don't know if they're just a terrible team or what. We'll find out. They play Illinois this week, and they're laying 10 points to Illinois, and I'm not sure. I don't know how I would take it. The over-under on the game is freaking 42. Now, Illinois has no offense and a very, very good defense. Wisconsin, I'm still trying to figure them out. The quarterback just throws a bunch of interceptions. Okay, I can see a few. You're playing Notre Dame. You're playing Penn State. But, no, I'm sorry. You can't you can't do that. So I don't know what to expect from Wisconsin. I guess this will be the truth here. If they lose to Illinois, then they really suck. But I don't think you can take Wisconsin in this game. Laying 10 for sure. Laying 4 in a teaser, I don't think you can. I think this is a game. Illinois, Wisconsin's, okay. You lost to Notre Dame. You're all excited for Michigan at home. You lose that game, and you lose it badly. Now you got to go to Illinois. I don't know that you're going to fire up the team. And the quarterback keeps throwing interceptions, so I don't know what to say about that. I would say go under, but the over-under is 42. How the hell do you go under 48 in college football? Even though it probably won't, but if you get turnovers, like the Wisconsin quarterback throws another 3 interceptions, like the Notre Dame and the Michigan game, that's how they went over was the turnovers. So I don't trust the quarterback, which leads me to Michigan, Nebraska now. Michigan is 3.5-point favorites. 50 over-under went from 52 to 50. Now here's what I hate is when people sit there and they go, well, something's wrong with the line. Like, why is the line this? Why is the line? Okay, first of all, the line makes the betting even, period. It is not saying Michigan, here it's 3.5, is 3.5 better than Nebraska. It's saying I want even betting because I'm going to win juice. That's the original line. I lay I get 100,000 on Michigan, I get 100,000 on Nebraska. I'm the bookie. I make 10% juice. Now it's like 11 or 12, and I make 10 grand, and I can't lose because I got 100 grand. I got my books balanced, which is the idea of a bookie, right? No risk. I win 100 grand, 100 grand. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and I'm going to make the juice on the 100 grand that loses, and I pay off the winners, and I keep 10,000 because I keep the juice. That's the line is supposed to be, and I believe it is. So Nebraska is not bad. They played Oklahoma real tough. They played Michigan State, who's very good this year, real tough. And then they creamed Northwestern. And I at least took them against Northwestern. Now, Michigan is going to be – they've got to be flat to a point. Okay, you go to Wisconsin and you finally win a road game. You can't tell me you weren't all pumped up to win the road game. So good evening, Derek. Nice to see you back. So you can't say they weren't pumped up to beat Wisconsin, and you can't say this isn't Ohio State or Michigan State, right? This is Nebraska they're playing. Against Ohio State, it wouldn't matter who they played the week before. They'd be fired up, and Michigan State is revenge because they lost to them last year. But they are not going to get up as high as they do for those two teams against Nebraska. Forget the spreads, 3.5. Let's go to my Michigan-Nebraska. Pick the winner. Don't look at the line. And I honestly think Nebraska can pull off the upset. Their defense, you pull off the upset with defense. I don't know what Michigan's defense is because they got gifts from Wisconsin, right? So they got a weak Washington team who's finally starting to find themselves, and then they put up a whole 20 on Rutgers. They held Rutgers to 13, who's Ohio State murdered them, and now they got Nebraska, but Nebraska is playing better. Like Frazier's looking better at quarterback. He's throwing the ball better. He's running that option. Now I watched him against Michigan State, and you would have thought. You'd have thought Michigan State will kill them because there's just one dimensional. He's got the quarterback, and they held the quarterback. But he's playing now. The quarterback Martinez. My mind's lost. Martinez. He's getting better. He's learning how to play better. So by doing a lot against Michigan State's defense, and they played it 20, they went overtime 20-20, and State won, I think, 23-20. But by him learning against State, I think Michigan's going to have all they want. This isn't a drop back passer. This is an option running back, an option quarterback who can throw pretty well. You got a great coach and Couch. I don't care. He was at UCF. This guy's a great coach. And I just think Michigan, they're due for a flat game here. You've seen them now. You've seen them run. Now the genie's out of the bottle. We're not going to show you our passing attack. We don't. Nobody thinks they can pass, and then they passed against Wisconsin. I don't know how good their secondary is because Penn State lit them up, Notre Dame lit them up, and now Michigan lit up their defense. So I'm not sure that this defense is a great pass defense. So I don't know Michigan's offense was that strong. I will tell you Nebraska basically shut out Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma got 20 points in the game, and they couldn't move at all. They had a few big plays, but generally they shut down Oklahoma. So you're shutting down Oklahoma. And now you're at home as a dog against Michigan. So I think the last play I'm making in this game is Michigan. I think it's either take Nebraska at 9.5 or you go under 50, go down under 56. So if you have the stomach to play Michigan under again, that's probably the best play. And that's as a better you have to ignore. when you play poker and you get aces and some guy flops a set on you, the next time you get aces, you've got to lay traps and you got to bet small and then see if the guy check raises you on the flop. And then you go, oh, fuck, he flopped the set on me again, and I fold it. And I've done that where I've got aces, the guy checks, I bet, but not too much, and then he check raises me. And I'm like, okay, you either hit two pair or a set, because this guy wouldn't do that. So for him to check raise, he knows I got a big hand the way I bet it. So therefore, he's not bluffing because he's going to assume I'm going to stay in. And so, and he had a set. So that's the thing. You've got to kind of, can I play Michigan under again? Can I play Buffalo after losing to Nebraska? What can I play, or what should I play, and look at this week separately than next week versus the other weeks. So I like Michigan, Nebraska. I guess I like it under more than I like Nebraska, but I like both ways. What kind of team comes out tonight and playing well? Coach has a team playing lights out. Think it continues. Tulane. I don't really have an opinion on it. I got Tulane as an over team. They played Oklahoma 35-30. Houston started out bad. Now Houston's playing very well. Line moved from 4.5 to 6. The over-under went from 62 to 59. I don't know what kind of defense Houston has. But Tulane at home, they normally score a lot. I could see going over in the game or possibly taking Houston. My line was Tulane -3. Houston -6 could be a bit aggressive. It's a tough call. I don't know. Houston, it's really one that I would just gather information and watch. But I guess if you want to make a play on it, I would go, I guess because Tulane's such an over team, I'd probably go over 53 on the game. But I don't really have a side. I really believe the Rams is a better team tonight. Well, I think Seattle's got the better coach, and I think Seattle's got the better quarterback. Defense is about even. They both give up 25. In the beginning of the show, I walked through their numbers. So the Rams' defense is not what you think. Yeah, they got Aaron Donald and the cornerback, who I can never remember his name. But outside of that, I mean, they give up 35 points to Arizona. They give up 24 to Brady. They gave up 20 to Indy. Now, granted, 7 was on when the guy goes back to punt, the guy gets in the way and it goes out. But the Rams defense is not the shutdown 15-point-a-game defense. And I'm noticing in the NFL, there's a lot more teams getting in the upper 20s and 30s offensively, and a lot less defenses. I think it was Denver and Carolina, but now Denver played Baltimore and they showed, and then Carolina played Dallas and they showed. So there's really not great defense in the NFL, and it's hard because you can't chuck, and there's defensive interference half the game. So if I was you, Derek, I'd take the game over tonight because there just isn't a lot of defense. You got 2 good quarterbacks, 2 good coaches, and I don't see when you get an under is when one of the teams starts running, but the Rams running back Henderson, I think's hurt. If he plays, he's playing hurt. Seattle really doesn't have one unless Russell Wilson does his little 5-yard runs. So I think you're going to see a lot more passing, which will lead to a lot more overs, unless you have turnovers near the other team's goal line. If you don't have the turnovers, then this game should go over. All right, Oklahoma, Texas. Oklahoma laying 3.5, over under 63. Oklahoma, Rattler doesn't look anything. I think Oklahoma's offense is based on spreading out the defense by having the fast receivers go deep. They happen to be open, the quarterback throws it. If he's not open, then the Kyler Murrays and the Jalen Hurts run because they're fast, and they pick up 30 yards running. But Rattler doesn't do that. Rattler does not run very well. He doesn't have that speed, and he's more of a pocket passer, and he's not finding anything open. They barely beat K-State last week, 37-31, which how K-State scores 31 points with that offense is beyond me. So they scored a little bit more. Texas, the defense doesn't scare me. Their offense is getting better. Forget the 70 on Texas Tech. The one matchup they had trouble with was Arkansas, who ran it down their throats. But Oklahoma is not really going to, maybe they'll run it a little bit more. Usually in this type of game, I like teasing the dog. So I would take Texas in the 9.5. Over under a 63. Texas is an over team. Well, they're a B team. They score a lot, and they have a pretty good defense. Oklahoma I have as an A team. They don't score what they normally do, but their defense is fairly good. So again, all I can measure Texas is from the Arkansas game, and then who did they play last week? I think they played a good team last week. Texas. They beat TCU 32-27. So that was TCU's got a pretty good defense. That was a 60-point game. So, yeah, you probably get an over here. The times you don't get an over is when one team can run the ball, like Alabama, Ole Miss. I said don't play the over, play Alabama, and I even said because they'll probably run it, keep Mississippi off the field, and that's exactly what they did. And that game, even though there was 63 points, the over-under was way too high. So it did go – it normally would have went over, but with the 79 it didn't, and because Alabama run it. So if Oklahoma, Texas can run the ball consistently, then I would say keep it under. But I think they're both starting to get the offense rolling. So I think 57 in a teaser is probably a good play for this game. So that's that. So we want to get the Penn State, Iowa. I got Iowa 2.5, over under 41.5. Okay, so Derek. Yeah. Well, let's do Iowa, and then I'll do Coastal Carolina. Iowa and Penn State really looks like an under to me. Well, yeah, it's a beautiful under, except for Vegas is saying we don't want any under betting. They're making this line 41.5. I mean, so you just tease it up to 47.5. They still have enough offense. Penn State, put up 26 on Wisconsin, where you thought had a good defense. Iowa, I don't know how much they score, because when you get interceptions, like you did against Maryland, you score easy and often, and that's really not true. You can't count on it. Iowa's not going to get 5 interceptions from Penn State. Penn State can run the ball. So I would think you're going to see more running, and you will not see one team go for it on a 4th and 4 at inside their own 45. I guarantee that. These coaches are way too smart to do that. It's too tight of a game, and you're not going to get it. I mean, maybe a 4th and 1 at the other team's 45, I could see. You're out of field goal range, maybe. I'd still probably be punting for field position. I see way too many 4th and 3s and 4th and 4s, and 99% of them, they're not making it. I don't understand what these coaches are thinking. You don't gain on a 4th and 4. You don't gain it very often, because the other team realizes it's 4th down. They realize you're going for it. It's an insult to them that you don't think they're strong enough to stop you, first of all. And then they take away the little swing passes, and they watch the run. So what play are you going to run that you think is going to work? The only play would be, maybe hitting the tight end on a seam route. And that's a high risk play, because any longer pass on a 4th down is unless it's like do or die, and you're going to lose if you don't make it. It just doesn't make sense. So I agree it's an under, but it's such a low under. It's very hard to play. I think the only prudent play here is Penn State and 8.5. Yeah, Pete Carroll. Well, Pete Carroll's the best. USC and Seattle and the Super Bowls. And they are very rarely a home dog. So yeah, I like Seattle in that game. But Penn State and 8.5, I think is the play. Coaching's pretty damn even. Defenses are pretty damn even. They're both A teams, so they don't give up a lot on defense. Penn State's already beaten Auburn and won at Wisconsin, so they got full of confidence. They got a good quarterback who has not thrown an interception yet this year. It's a lot different. Ted Tagliabue's brother, he just wings it back. All right, they're more of a wide open offense. Iowa eats that up. Not Penn State. They're going to be tough. They're going to run it and pound it. Definitely, I think this is a close game. I think you take 8.5 in Penn State is the best way to play it. I would normally go under if it was 45. If I could get 45 under 51, I would definitely love the under. That's what I had in the Georgia-Arkansas game, and I loved that. No, I don't. Yeah, I did lock it, I think. Georgia-Arkansas last week. No, I didn't. I locked Army instead. But I had Georgia heavy on under, and it was 46 or something, and it was under 52. And I love Georgia on the under. That's just they're so dominating of a defense. But in this game, I like Penn State and 8.5. I think the game's even. I don't think it matters. It's in Iowa. It's not going to bother a Penn State. Or if this was, let's say this was Ohio State and they were getting 2.5, I'd be all over Ohio State and 8.5. But yeah, I definitely like Penn State here. Alabama 17.5 over Texas A&M, over under 51. A&M's got this great defense and no offense. Problem is Alabama knows what to do with great defenses. 17.5, you can cut to 11.5. That's very doable for Alabama. Like I say, they always find a way to get to 40. I don't know how they do it. They get their drives, they pick up 21, and then the running backs go, the core, it's all based on the other teams, how many guys in the box, if they run or pass. A&M, very good defense. Okay, now they lost to Arkansas 20-10. So Arkansas is not a very good throwing team. Here, Alabama, we know all about them. All they got to do is win by 11. 51, I don't know what to do with that because A&M won't score in the game, right? It's going to be probably a shutout. So you got Alabama winning 33-7 maybe, let's say. So that's a 40. So, yeah, you probably want to go under. How can Alabama go from a 79 over-under to a 51 over-under? That's amazing. But I just think Alabama wins the game because it's Alabama, and all you got to do is lay 11.5. Maybe it goes to 12. Keep it under 2 touchdowns. They'll have that covered in the first quarter. A&M doesn't have the offense to bother Alabama. The only way A&M scores is on turnovers, but Alabama's getting way too sophisticated offensively to turn it over. So take Alabama here. They know it's a big game. Good defensive team in A&M, but no offense. What else? So I gave you Penn State. In the past, Rams defense has made Russell's life hell. Rams beat them 3 times last year. Yes, I understand that. Is it the same defense? And did they beat them as a road favorite? Were they favored at Seattle? Let me check. So the first game, the Rams were laying 2.5 and won 23-16 in LA. In Seattle is favored by 1.5, and Seattle won 20-9. So I'm not sure where you're getting the Rams beat them all 3 times. That was December 27th. Seattle 20, Rams 9. And then in the playoff game, Seattle is 3.5-point favorites. The Rams, with Jared Goff injured, won 30-20. So Seattle at home won. Seattle at home in 19, laying 1.5, won 30-29. The Rams in LA won 28-12 and 23-16. So you only had one game, the 30-10 game in the playoff, and then this 28-12 in December of 19 in LA. But in Seattle won 30-29. Seattle won 20-9, and then the playoff game. So I don't have an issue taking Seattle in 8.5. The Ram defense, like I say, does not look. It's not a great defense. Russell Wilson will have plenty of time. So again, I know what you're saying. You want to watch the matchups. You want to use history, but the Rams are not the same team. Their defense is not very good. And, they probably what happened is you had to pay for Stafford. So you had to let some good defensive players go. So it's like Minnesota last year. They lost half their defense. And they went from this great under defense to a terrible defense. Now they look better again this year. Nick Saban will pound A&M, absolutely. Coach Jimbo was running his mouth before this. Well, it doesn't matter. They don't have an offense. There's nothing they're going to do there. You just got to take Alabama. I don't see any team. No, there's one team that I would be afraid with Alabama would be Georgia, because they're not going to score on Georgia. Nobody's going to score on Georgia. Pro teams aren't going to score on Georgia. Take Alabama, take Penn State, UCLA, Arizona. I love this game. Let me get rid of that. I love this game. Okay, here's UCLA's an over. They're going to score. They score points on everybody, and they just lost to Arizona State, so they can't afford another loss. Arizona is terrible. They're the Z team, right? They don't score, and they have no defense. Look for UCLA here. It's a freaking bargain. You're laying. I had the line minus 24 was my line. They're only laying 16. It's a bargain. You cut it to 10. How the hell is Arizona going to score? Their quarterbacks suck. UCLA, with Kelly coaching they're going to score. That's what they do. They lost to Fresno State, who has a great quarterback, and Fresno can light it up, but not Arizona. They're not in Fresno's league offensively or their quarterback. So where UCLA's weakness is their defense, Arizona can't beat it. There's no matchup for it, right? You got a bad quarterback in Arizona against the UCLA team fresh off of a loss to Arizona State in a must-win, and they're laying 10. They're in the desert. The weather will be good. I think UCLA kills them. Over under a 61, it's going to be mostly UCLA because Arizona doesn't score, but they let up a lot. So UCLA will be probably in the 50s, high 40s. Arizona 10 points, 13 maybe, because they're coming off of a loss. So look for UCLA here. Nevada, New Mexico State, Nevada laying 30. They should kill them. I mean, they got a great quarterback. They score a lot. They just beat Boise. Definitely like Nevada. Yeah, they're laying 30, cut it to 24. So now it's just three touchdowns and a field goal. So that's the thing. 30, you got, if the team's up 28, they're pretty comfortable. They might not score anymore, but if you get 30 down to 24, and they're up by 24, they're going to keep playing. Problem in college, they'll get up 45-0. They bring in the second and third team, and then they get a few late touchdowns, and they screw you. So that's why it helps to bring the line, get it under a 28 here. So definitely Nevada, New Mexico State. I think they got a new quarterback, but again, nothing major. So I think that's it. So let's review. Coastal Carolina's quarterback is probable. They're playing Arkansas State tonight. It's tonight's game, 21. That was my line. It's 20. I think it's 29. Yeah, it's 29. It's a big number. Arkansas State can score, but Arkansas's defense is terrible. So I think Coastal Carolina lights it up. Over under on the game 72. I don't know how strong Coastal Carolina's defense is, but I know they can score. And I know Arkansas State's defense is terrible. So Coastal Carolina is probably close to the line, but they'll probably win by 30 or so. Again, watch Cincy recover. Watch Michigan, Wisconsin. So watch the winner kind of gets flat the next week. Michigan should be a little flat on Saturday. You got Texas, Oklahoma, big rivalry game. Look at the winner next week. Should be a little flat. Again, the loser will be upset, but you get very emotional for these games. So therefore it allows the following week, you're not going to get up that high again, unless it's just like Michigan plays Ohio State at the end. Everybody's sky high. It's very hard to play the next week, but because if the winner goes to the championship game, then you can get up for that. But otherwise, if you're just playing Purdue, it'd be very hard to get up for. How does Navy score? SMU looks good early if they can keep the ball. Well, SMU is going to put up 50 on them. Air Force put up 30 on them, beat them like 30-7. Somehow Navy beat UCF last week, 34-30, but there's a new quarterback. Okay. So, UCF's quarterback, Gabriel, gets hurts his clavicle. He's out. So the backup's in. Well, the backup is not, first of all, it's not Mackenzie Milton, and then it's not the other guy who I just said, who I can't remember. Anyway, he's out. So you got basically the second stringer out there. So they probably got turnovers to beat UCF, but SMU, they crushed South Florida, who changed, and they've got a Quentin Flowers quarterback now. South Florida, good. He can throw, and he's a real quick runner and things like that. So I don't see where Navy, SMU sees Navy every year. This is a weird series. I looked at the history because I wanted to see how SMU plays a team like Navy, and the home teams won the last 6. So Navy wins at home, SMU wins at home, and SMU's had this offense for a few years, but Navy doesn't have a real good quarterback this year, and they did switch. So I think SMU only laying. I got 13.5, 7.5. I think that's should be an easy win. At worst case, they win by 20, but because once Navy gets down, what are they going to do? Run their wishbone. The score's 35-7, and what are you going to do with that? I mean, it'll take you 8 minutes to score a touchdown, but you don't have time. So I don't see how Navy stops SMU, and it's just a matter of time. Ohio State looks great. Maryland, as we saw, doesn't have it. They're just a passing team. And good defense always beats a passing team. That's why you have to be balanced. You want to bet on balanced teams. So you go to the stats, you look for a team that can run and pass. Like I show out Baylor, Ohio State, even Alabama is pretty balanced. Oregon State's extremely balanced. Then you can't defense that, right? So you can, what are they going to do? Well, if there's 8 men in the box, they throw. If there's 6 in the box and 6 defensive backs, they can run it. You can't play defense against teams like that. Maryland can't run the ball, so therefore all it is the quarterback passing. Well, you can blitz them. You're not worried about the run. That's why it's very hard for one-dimensional teams to win, especially one-dimensional passing teams. That's why Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, because once you played a good defense and all you could do was throw, they just blitzed you and took you out of the game, and you lost. Ohio State, who do they got? Maryland, laying 21. Yeah, I thought about the over in the game, but Ohio State might do a lot of running like Alabama did to Mississippi. But look for at least 2 interceptions by Ohio State. Ohio State's really getting into gear. So, to win by 14, I don't think it's a big deal in that game. Possibly an over, 68 down to 62. That's 40-20. So I guess as Ohio State if they get to 50 for the over, they're going to cut. Maryland's not going to keep up. So then it's better to play the 14 and a half, I think. So that's how you view it. If the other team can't score, you can't play the over. But if your team gets you to the over by themselves, just play the team, unless that 1 week Ohio State was laying 49. Well, then it's a little different. Then you got to play the over because they're just going to bring in the third string once they're up 50 points. They're not going to keep their starters out there. So I look at, Ohio State. Here's an interesting one. Liberty plays Middle Tennessee State. Liberty is really good. And they're laying 19 and a half. It's a little bit high. Over under 58. Middle Tennessee is one of these over teams. So they got a good quarterback, but their defense sucks. They're going to let up a lot of points. Liberty got Malik as their quarterback. He's kind of a running passer, but he's more of the Russell Wilson. Like I'm a good passer, but I can run if I need to. Than a Lamar Jackson, who I'm looking to run, and maybe I'll pass. So I like the ones that are quarterbacks that can run versus a quarterback who, as soon as he goes back, wants to run. Like Trevor Lawrence is turning into, I'll drop back, take 3 steps, and then I'm going to run because I can't hit the broadside of a barn. So that's one. Over under a 58, I think, gets there. Liberty's an A team, right? They got a good defense. They got a good quarterback, good offense, good coach. Middle Tennessee, I like their coach, but they're an over team, right? They get a good quarterback. He knows how to coach the quarterbacks, and they don't have a defense. So it could be over. It's only a 58, so to go over 52 in a Liberty game against a Middle Tennessee team with no defense and a decent coach, decent quarterback. I think over 52 is very generous. See, the key you're looking for the numbers, right? Like I said, in the Alabama game, that's an over until you see the line 79. Then it's not an over anymore. You can't go over 79 in an Alabama game. They're going to run it down their throat, which is exactly what they did. However, if it was 65, I could have went over 59, and you just got there. I mean, they got to 63 last week. So, if it's something like get over 60, you can bet it. If it's get over 73, especially with a team that can run like Alabama and good defense. I mean, you can never take an Alabama unless I think I took it over against Florida last year, and Florida had Tony and all those receivers, and their defense sucked, and Alabama's wasn't that good, and Trask was really good. So you had teams that could score in the 40s, and that's what happened. But outside of that, it's very hard to lay a 79. So you're looking for something in the 50s, and then you just do a discovery like I made and going, Liberty Middle Tennessee, 58 over 52. That's in the ballpark. That's something that I want to bet over on. Let's see, Derek. Think Cincinnati comes out flatter. They remember last year's committee didn't. Well, I already talked about that. I think they do come out flat to a point, but Fickle is talking about making the playoffs. So it'll be a first quarter flat. It's just going to be, they can't get as high as, you can't go into Notre Dame flat. So you went into Notre Dame sky high and you get the win and you're celebrating. And now you go home and here's Temple. I mean, Notre Dame, Temple. So I think it's going to take them a minute to get going. Either it's going to be two ways. Either they're going to jump out 14-21-0 and coast, or they're going to get down. Maybe it's 7-7 at the end of the one. And then that pisses them off going, oh shit, we're tied with Temple. We got to get going. So I think it's too many points though. 29. Temple changed quarterbacks. He's not that bad. The backup, they beat Memphis last week. How the hell did that happen? So if Temple can beat Memphis, they can score. So that would worry me a little bit. Since I just think Cincinnati's laying too many points, that Temple's not that bad. They're an over team, not a Z team. So really a 29-point line, you want to go against a Z team who has no offense and no defense. That's what you're targeting, 29s. Temple, an over team, I think it's just too many points. Coastal Carolina, if that's a 20, I can't tell if they're a 20 or 29. It might be a 20. Arkansas State's got they got a good offense, but they have a terrible defense. But they're an over team. What else? Watch out for Louisville's quarterback. Cunningham is questionable. So if he plays, that Virginia game becomes an over. The over-under, though, is high. It's 69. But again, it's not 79. It's doable to get it down to 63 because Virginia has no defense. Louisville has no. So neither team has a defense, and they both have good quarterbacks and good scoring offenses. That's what you're looking for. So that 63, they'll both be in the 30s. I don't think it's an issue in Virginia, Louisville. So that's probably good over if Cunningham, the quarterback of Louisville, plays. Again, it's hard. I'm looking on Tuesday. I see an injury. I don't know. Like McCall, the great quarterback of Coastal Carolina tonight, he's questionable. My friend says, should I bet it? I says, well, I don't know. If the quarterback plays, the quarterback's probably the best quarterback in college right now, Grayson McCall of Coastal Carolina. He's like 24 touchdowns and 1 pick, and he's a great quarterback. So I said, well, if he plays now, I just looked, he's probable. So I'm like going, oh, well, if he's probable, then yeah, go ahead. Then it was a leg injury, whatever that meant. So nothing serious, probably a bruise or, something. But that's about it. I think I talked about Michigan State 5 over Rutgers, over under a 50. Last one, you have been awesome. I think Georgia let Auburn hang around. No, take Georgia. Just play the game under. Georgia, play every Georgia game under that you can get under in the 50s. So Georgia's 47.5. I just bet them again under 53.5. I have them under 52.5. Auburn's got a good defense, right? They give up less than 20 a game, and they played Penn State. They played LSU. So they're not going to give up a lot of points, but you're not even going to score on Georgia. Auburn maybe gets 1. Maybe they get to 10, but neither team's getting to 20 here. So definitely under 53.5. See, versus the Penn State Iowa 41, right? Penn State Iowa's 41, but I guarantee you they have more offense and they got a little weaker defenses. Yeah, Iowa's defense looked good against Maryland, and they look pretty good against Iowa State. I agree with that, but they haven't really played a Penn State. Penn State, they played Wisconsin, and I think Wisconsin got about 20 on them, and then they played Auburn, and Auburn got 20 on them. So I don't know that 41 – it's almost go over 35, to tell you the truth, because I think both teams have enough, but you can't really with good defenses go over. But the under is very the spread's so low. It's like the Alabama 79, right? Alabama 79, I can't go over, even though it's freaking Mississippi and Alabama. They both score 40. Alabama runs the ball, and it's a 60. And that's the same thing here. It's so low, 41. It's almost impossible to go under at a 41 because there's going to be a punt return and somebody screws up a fake punt. They go for it on 4th. There's a pick 6, strips. There's too many other ways to score that could easily get over 35 easier than staying under 47. Penn State will find a way to score. And Iowa at home, Iowa, it'll probably be close to 20-17, 37, I would think, which gets you over the 35. But again, you get a pick 6 or a punt return, or a long pass by Penn State, and all of a sudden the game's in the 20s, which is a 44, 47, and you're sweating your 41 down to 47. So it's too low. I'd much rather have the Georgia under at 47. Now you go under 53. And that, to me, that's a lot. Like, they started out 21-0 in Arkansas. And I was like, yeah, but it's 50. I think it was 54. Yes. Last week I was laying under 54 in the Georgia-Arkansas game. And it was just Then I checked in on the final. It was 30-0. I go, yeah, that's what I thought. Georgia's going to shut them out. That's what I think will happen here. Georgia Auburn, they ain't going to be. I don't think Auburn can get to 10, so I got to go under. But I got to 50. So Penn State, Iowa could have a little bit more scoring in it, and the number's too low in my opinion. We're the viewer getting wisdom. Oh, well, thank you, Derek. I've been doing this a long time, but I cut to the shit. I tell you, I put it in I got 2 daughters, and I know how to talk to them, as a 10-year-old. Like, right, I can talk to them at their level, and I learned that. I coached their softball team, and I learned how to teach them how to hit. But for a 10-year-old, like, I can teach at one level, but you don't understand it, there's no point. So I learned to teach to that level. So I try to keep things very simple here. Not that you guys aren't smart, but I want you to understand it. So I keep it to that level so you can understand what I'm saying. So really, you just look. So I've gone through. I was talking Michigan State, Rutgers. Michigan State laying 5, over under 50. My spread is Michigan State minus 14. I don't get this line. I think it's way too low. Like the Michigan line at 3, I kind of get. I had them maybe a 6 or a 7. Okay, 3. They're going to be flat after Wisconsin. Michigan State didn't play anybody last week. They didn't play Nebraska. They played Western Kentucky, and they still blew out Western Kentucky. This Michigan State team, very good defensively. Rutgers doesn't have the offense to keep up with them, and Michigan State's got a very good quarterback. We all know about the running back and good receivers. Now, he's going to have a hard time running on this Rutgers defense, but you can throw on Rutgers. That's something Michigan didn't show, which is why I took them under against Wisconsin. But now Nebraska sees it. So watch Nebraska play Michigan really tough. But this matchup with Rutgers, as Ohio State showed you, Rutgers has trouble with throwing offenses with good quarterbacks, and Michigan State's got a very good. So I can't see Michigan State losing this game. They got Michigan coming up in a week or two, but they can't afford to lose this game, and they're playing very good ball. Rutgers is okay. They don't have a good quarterback. They get down. They're not going to be able to come back on them. So I like Michigan State here. It's a double teaser because I should be laying 8. I'm getting 1. I mean, okay, I'll take it. But see, that's what you look for. That's why you make your own lines. Like Arizona State, Stanford. I got Arizona State laying 7. It should be a close game. The line's 12, and I'm like, what the hell? So then it's Stanford's quarterback out. Why? Stanford just beat Oregon. Why are they 12 points to Arizona State? And you can't look at Arizona State being UCLA. Stanford's a whole different team, and the game's at home. So I'm avoiding that game. But again, there's where the line is way off there. And then I think I told you UCF, East Carolina. If I didn't, I'll repeat it. I have East Carolina minus 10. The line, UCF minus 10. Dylan Gabriel is out, right? UCF's quarterback is out. The second stringer lost to freaking Navy. East Carolina beat a good team. They came back to beat Marshall. Marshall was up 21 and blew the lead to East Carr. So that tells me East Carr, if they're down, they have a good quarterback, they'll come back. UCF does not have a defense. UCF has a good offense with Gabriel, but he's out. He broke his collarbone, so he's out. So I got a team that should be favored in the game getting 10 points. So I love East Carolina getting 16, and they're a good closer if you need them. If they're down 21, they can score. They did it to Marshall. They should win the game right out, but they're a good passing team. I didn't see the quarterback injured, so I know UCF's is. I didn't see East Carolina's injured. They're a good passing team. Over under 67. How the hell can UCF be a 10-point favorite, and over under 67 means East Carolina can score? So how are they going to – we get 16. How the hell are they going to win by 16? They'll be lucky to win at all, but maybe by a field goal. 16, I don't see. So they're let's take East Carolina and 16. I love that game. Anyway, so that's about the whole anything worth noting, USC, Utah. Utah's quarterback sucks. Oh my God, he looks terrible. USC, you guess which team shows up? Oregon State lit them up. Stanford lit them up. And then they go and beat Washington State. And now they got Utah. And sure guess which team shows up there. See, there's no consistency with them, so it's hard to bet them. I know we talked about them against Colorado. Yeah, they handled Colorado. So I think a good quarterback can beat USC because Oregon State and Stanford have pretty good quarterbacks. I think their weakness is their secondary, it seems like, because Colorado didn't do anything and Washington State didn't do anything. So that's probably the key. If you got a good quarterback, you're going to light up USC. Utah does not have a good quarterback. Good defensive team and lousy quarterback. USC can score, but against Utah's defense. Now, Utah always loses that in California. In Utah, Utah wins. In California, SC wins. So I wouldn't play the game, or I'd play it under. I see the under at 52. I kind of put a little question mark. Under 58, maybe, because Utah won't score a lot and they have a good defense. So maybe that's an under, but I'd rather go with Georgia under and play them. So this is my problem. I get all these games that I like, and so you end up betting a lot of them, and you try to throw out who you think's the risk, right? So I love the Georgia. Is Baylor -3 the risk against West Virginia? Because West Virginia is pretty good, and I'm only getting, so I'm not at -3 to +3, but I love Baylor at home. Michigan, Nebraska under. Maybe I stay away because they beat me last week with their stupid late touchdowns. So that might be the game, that little risk. Love Michigan State, love East Carolina. I avoid the Air Force Wyoming game, even though I like Air Force because Wyoming is a pretty good team. And then maybe play Boise in 11 against BYU because BYU's quarterback's out. They're playing their second quarterback. Boise's healthy, and Boise's a pretty good dog, so maybe you play them. Again, I like Penn State. Maybe you don't bet it because of the risk. Alabama for sure, UCLA for sure. UCLA I love because they're playing a Z team, and that's really the focus. So when two real good teams are playing, like Michigan, Nebraska, maybe I can go under. Like, there'd be a lot of risk in taking Nebraska 9.5, but probably less risk going under if I can't find anything else. But I got so many others, it's hard to. So that's maybe the one you weed out, only because you can't. How many can you bet? Now, if I'm betting an 11-team teaser, I got 11 teams. That's why understanding the odds are getting so ridiculous when you're betting. Especially stay away from MGM. MGM's teaser odds are 130. I mean, normally it's either even or 110. You should never lay 130, so avoid MGM at all costs. It's not like their line's any better, maybe a half point here or there. But so my thought is to maybe start playing 3-team teasers. So instead of laying 13 to 10 or 12 to 10, you're actually getting 13 to 10 to 13. So in other words, you bet your 100 to win 130 as opposed to betting 130 to win 100. As you can see, it ain't hard to find 3 teams. So you just got to hope the third team wins. It's a little more risky because, again, one loser and you're out. But that's why sometimes you play 6-7 team teasers for a smaller amount. We easily can find I can find 10 games with my eyes closed, and that's just college. In the pros, I got a strong lock. So I got a college pro lock, and then the other strong, I just gave you a bunch of college games, and then we'll talk pro tomorrow. I got certain pros. Again, some of these over-unders in the pros are unbelievable. New England, Houston, 39. Denver, Pitt, 39. You got 2 39s in the pros. What is that? Now, I know Denver, you're waiting for Bridgewater. Houston, Mills sucked at Stanford. Okay, somebody's got to help me out here. The guy stinks in college, playing college players. he goes. Somehow the team is stupid enough to draft him. And now you got to play a guy who sucked in college for Stanford. And what do you think? You think now he's going to be better in the pros? Like, did it just get easier to play in the pros versus the college? Like, if you suck in college, you suck in pros. Now, at least like McCall, the just Coastal Carolina quarterback who just lights it up, he's the best quarterback by a mile in college. You draft him, and then if he doesn't work out, well, yeah, but he was great in college. Okay, so he was great in college. So I'll take a risk on him. That's why they take a risk on Fields. And Trey Lance, I don't understand. He didn't do anything in college because he only played 1 year, 2 years ago. He didn't even play last year. But Fields looks good because Ohio State's the way they play. It's a system like Taylor. He can't throw a 10-yard pass at Miami. This isn't the Alabama playing Texas State. I mean, so that's where I'm saying you don't draft that guy, but I could see why they drafted him. He at least looks good in college. He just couldn't win the big game. So that's where I'm getting. But this Mills on Houston, this guy sucked in college. Why would he be any good in the pro? I mean, if you can't do it in college, how are you going to do it in the pros? So bet your house against Houston as long as this Mills is quarterbacking. I see New England 8.5, 39.5. I already took New England minus 2.5. Get it before the line goes over 9, and you got to lay over 3. But even then, New England will they'll win 20-0. They'll shut them out. I mean, Belichick against these new quarterbacks, they never have a chance. Houston never prepared as always. Houston Tech. What do you mean prepared? Well, with Tyrod Taylor, they killed Jacksonville, and then he got hurt. But even Tyrod Taylor wasn't like wonderful. Problem is they either got to play Deshaun Watson or trade Deshaun Watson, but he's your star quarterback. So you're really on your third string quarterback. And, it's tough what they do off the field, but does that really – this is pro football. So he's your asset. I'm talking to Deshaun Watson. Not to be political here, but if he can play, this is a business. You got to play him. He's your quarterback, or get rid of him, trade him, or cut him. But you need a quarterback. So lost their quarterback, and we know the watching. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But Mills isn't the answer. So it's football. Everybody's going to get injured. So if Tyrod Taylor goes down, you got to have somebody better than Mills as your backup, is what I'm saying. And to think Mills is any good after watching him at Stanford struggle, that just doesn't make sense. Why you would draft him? And there's other quarterbacks you could have picked up. I think you knew Watson was a problem before the season. I mean, before the draft, I think. You certainly could grab Quentin Flowers or go trade for Jake Fromm sitting at Buffalo backing up Josh Allen, and he's better than Josh Allen. So go make a trade for Jake Fromm. That's what I would do if I was in Houston's shoes. You got to be kidding. If I'm going to live with Miller, yeah, Houston, bet your ass. Just bet against Houston. We were betting against Jacksonville and the Jets, and I don't know what Tennessee did last week. And Jacksonville, Cincinnati, all that. So I got to give that a little bit more against certain teams. There's so many bad teams, but the NFL is very few good teams. They're all or real bad. But yeah, Houston's money. The Jets should be money, and Jacksonville should be money. Those three teams suck. Atlanta, I don't know what's wrong with them. There's just bad teams, but that's what you're looking for Z teams. Houston, the Jets are Z teams, Jacksonville, but Jacksonville scores more. So every once in a while, Lawrence does something and scores by mistake or something, but I don't know. But we'll do pros tomorrow. But yeah, so take the over in the Seattle game, or tease Seattle an 8.5, whatever you're more comfortable. I know some of my customers don't like the totals. I don't want to bet the overs or the even though they win. I don't want to bet it. It's too nerve wracking. Getting over the over, or like, because it is hard. Because if you got an over like 60, you got to wait till the fourth quarter to get there. And if it's an under, then you're stressing, like the Michigan game last week. I'm stressing and stressing, going, okay, let's run the last 2 minutes out, and I lose with 36 seconds left. So you are more stressful, keeping the over and under in some instances. In the Georgia Auburn instance, I'm taking that under, and that's fine. I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to worry about it. That's the prudent play. So yeah, I get that, but it's all forecasting. So if this is what you think's going to happen in the game, there's nothing wrong with taking overs and unders. You just got to get the right number. Penn State's too low. Alabama 79 was too high last week. So you got to look for the number. But again, if you just look at the game and put your own score in it, and if you're not savvy enough, if you haven't watched enough football, I mean, I've been doing this since the 70s, so I can look at it. I can look at a game and know the line. My story is I was in the Vegas, not COVID year, the year before, in July, and I was at the Wynn, or I was at the Venetian. I think it was at the Venetian. They had the line up already. So here's how savvy I am. They had the Michigan-Ohio State line up, and this was Fields' first year at Ohio State, and they made Michigan a 3-point favorite, and it took me about 1 second to pull out some money to bet and take Ohio State, and I got 3.5 on that line, and I looked at the guy like, you got the wrong team favorite here, buddy. But I knew Ohio State's going to win by at least 20, even though it was Fields had not played before, and Day was the new coach. I said, it's the system. They're going to be fine. Michigan doesn't know how to beat them anyway. So I took that. So that's what I can do, is I can look at any game and I can give you a score pending injuries, right? So if Brady goes out, what do I do with the game? Well, that I can't predict. But if everything's there, like Pitt and Denver, Roethlisberger's playing, is Bridgewater. Well, I can't give you that score until I know if Bridgewater's playing. Then I can give you a score of 23-20. That I can give you if Bridgewater plays. If he doesn't play and Locke plays, I'll probably give you a score of 17-10, because Locke ain't going to score you too many points. I agree. Russell Wilson with points is a lock at home. He will come back if he's down. Russell Wilson is a lock getting points anywhere. He's a much better lock on the road. Like I said, I didn't lock him last week, but I had him really strong at Frisco, getting points. Seattle wins by 7, and we're getting 9. I mean, he's a better road dog than anybody else. He's very rarely a home dog. So when he is a home dog, you've got to treat it like a road dog. You're betting there. You got consistency. You got Coach Pete, who knows how to win the big ones, and you got Russell Wilson. And again, yes, they're playing the Rams, but their defense doesn't scare you. Their offense scares you. And with Stafford, if you just put pressure, you watch him when there's blitzing on him, watch his feet, and he gets all a little nervous and runs his feet around, and he does one of these like he's afraid to get hit. That's what you do to Stafford. If Seattle can blitz on him and get him like that, game's over. That's why the Lions never won. It's the same Stafford. He would do the long pass early, and then by the fourth quarter, they would need points. And look what he did against Arizona, a couple interceptions. They sacked him, and he's not a winner. He's not going to win him he'll be lucky to win him a playoff game. He's lucky to win on the road against the 500 team. Even with this talent here, he had Calvin Johnson, so don't make it like he didn't have a superstar receiver. So, yes, Russell Wilson's a winner. Tom Brady's a winner. Rodgers sometimes on the road is not a winner, like the New Orleans game. But most, and Mahomes is a winner. Josh Allen's not a winner on Buffalo. That's why I rag on him and say you need to start Jake Fromm because Jake Fromm's a winner. What he did at Georgia, and I don't understand why they're not playing him. But to answer the Houston problem, that I would make a trade for Jake Fromm so fast your head was. I would do that for half these teams. Chicago, you're better off with Jake Fromm than Fields. San Francisco, you're better off with Jake Fromm. I mean, most of these teams are better off with Jake Fromm. Maybe the Jets with Zach Wilson was good at BYU. Maybe New England is okay with Jones, but like Jacksonville would be better with Jake Fromm. So I don't get. He sits on the bench at Buffalo, and they're not really playing their best quarterback. And yeah, they got 5 interceptions against Houston last week. So, yeah, they get 40 points, and you're going to give it all to Allen. But what happened in the playoff game against Kansas City when they scored 9? I mean, how the fuck do you score 9 points and you're a good quarterback against Kansas City? All right, so anything else? Anybody else? Questions, comments? Went down the list. You have your instructions. You have your plays. Tomorrow you'll have your pro plays. I just like to take an extra day to look at injuries because in the pros, you get a much better flavor of injuries. Last week, I got burned with Army. Their quarterback didn't play, and their quarterback is a very good runner, and losing him, even though it's a running offense, really hurt. So I just want to be a little more prudent especially with the pros this week and make sure – is everybody playing before I make that? I'm not going to – I make a mistake once. I don't make it twice. And normally I check injuries, but I think this was a late injury where it was like a game time injury where they said, no, it was a shoulder. And they're off this week, so I'm expecting him to play. And here's the ironic part. Army plays Wisconsin next week. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. So that's another under game if the quarterback doesn't play. Anyway, any other questions? Let me know. So I'll take Seattle or the over tonight. And you can, I gave you, playing with Georgia under if you want, or I gave you enough games to play them with. UCLA, Alabama, you got Michigan under, Oklahoma over, Florida Atlantic, East Carolina getting 16, Oregon State, SMU. Just choose, my friends. I heard Calvin Ridley is out for Atlanta. Does that really matter? They're playing the Jets. So what's that? Atlanta's 3-46. That probably makes the game under. I don't know. Both teams are Z's. They both have terrible defenses. Even Matt Ryan. So without Ridley, they'll bring in the backup. Probably won't hurt him too much. In the NFL, you've got 5 or 6 receivers. So even if Ridley goes down, I mean, look at Tennessee. Julio Jones has got a pulled hamstring for the last 5 years. And you just learn not to depend on him. And you've got other receivers that are NFL receivers. So that type of injury doesn't really hurt you. It's the quarterback. If you're telling me Matt Ryan went down, that's a different story. But Ridley, they'll bring in the next wide receiver. I think the kid out of Florida who got drafted, I think the 4th pick, I think went to Atlanta, or Tony, one of those guys. I think Tony's on the Giants. I don't know. But I think Atlanta took Pitts, the big tight end from Florida, who's like a wide receiver. So they just need to get him more involved. But, most of these lineman injuries, just ignore. They rotate 8-9 linemen, especially defense. So unless it's Aaron Donald, it doesn't matter. Or one of the Reggie Whites or Lawrence Taylor. If it's not a superstar player, it doesn't really matter. The key injuries are the quarterback. If Roethlisberger's out, if Bridgewater's out, they got to play lock. That's a big deal. So don't get too hung up on linemen being injured or mostly receivers or running backs. It doesn't really matter because they're all pros, right? And here in the NFL, the next kid's from Ohio State. He's from Notre Dame, from Michigan, Michigan State, Alabama. It doesn't. So that's your backup. So it doesn't matter. It's not like college where if Ridley got hurt at Alabama, did they have a backup? But apparently LSU just has a whole shitload of incredible wide receivers. You had Chase this year, and this I think it's Justine or something, number one. Guys, he's another. He's better than Chase. I was watching him, and he's incredible. So keep an eye on the draft. So when you want to know how a team did, the kid who gets this, if he goes in the draft, which probably will, whoever gets this number one from LSU's got the best receiver. So that's what you look at. But anyway, I think that's it. Any other questions? Or I'm talked out. I think that's it. Tomorrow I'll do the pros right around this time, 2:00 or so, Eastern time. All right, everybody. Well, have a great night. Good luck tonight. And I wish everybody well, and take care and good luck. Again, www.teaserking.com. You can get the month, you can get the year, you can buy the week, you can buy the locks, whatever you want to do. They're all in teasers, and I give a lot of them. As you say, all my picks. You don't know, most of these are going to be my picks, but it's in a teaser, you got to bet it a certain way. And like the Georgia will probably be in 2 teasers because they're such a good bet. So you got to learn all. There's a science. Betting teasers is the art, not the science. So I give you the art. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Thank you.